Jesus speaks to us in the gospel today about the kingdom and what happens as the word that he is sending us, or the word that he gives to us, the word that he speaks to us, what happens when we receive it. The first, of course, we hear, the enemy tries to steal, kill, and destroy because he doesn't want God's kingdom coming to fruition here, right? That's what the devil tries to do. He tries to stop what God has sown because of the fact that he knows that his time is short, and he's been given at least that permission by God to test us and to prove us, so that we actually have to put forth a little bit of effort here, right? It's not just God just coming in and zapping everything and making it all right. Because then we have freedom. The second one, though, is we hear the seed that gets sown and it gets received. It doesn't get stolen away, but difficulties come up. And people have a choice. Am I going to go through the cross? Am I going to go through the trial? Am I going to go through the suffering? Or am I going to say, forget about it, I'm out of here? That's Boston. We have to decide. The stony soil, or the soil that is rocky like that, it's that hardness of heart that says in us, no, I'm not gonna suffer. Right? Good news is this: from what I understand, Jesus can turn things that are stone and make them into other things if he wants, right? Just like God said to Ezekiel, I will take your hearts of stone and make them hearts of flesh. So God can also take our rocky soil and transform it into soil that's able to receive and to bear fruit. Okay? So if we see that about us, okay, no big deal. Then we hear about the seed sown among thorns is the one who hears the word, but then worldly anxiety and the lure of riches choke the word and it bears no fruit. We can literally let anxiety drive out God's love. God's love is really that which can bring about everything that we need, you see, because God is providential, right? He's a loving Father, and he promised through Jesus, he gave us the promise that he knows what we need and has already known the prayer before we even said it, but he still wants us to ask. He says, ask and you shall receive, seeking you will find, knock and the door will be open. He didn't say to us, do 5 zillion different penitential acts and then you'll earn the blessings, right? But he does ask us to ask, right? To participate that way. So, worldly anxiety, literally what it says is, I have to figure it out. There's not enough. We can't do it, or it's impossible, right? God and his love reminds us that all things are possible with him. So this is how Jesus helps us with even the worldly anxieties that try to choke the word. He reminds us he's good, he provides, he blesses, he answers prayer. So Jesus can also help us with the thorns that try to choke his word. And then we hear, the seed sown on rich soil is the one who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and yields 100 or 60 or 30-fold. When we think about a like analogy, we've got the word being like a seed, and then the ground being that which receives that, and then because of it, there's the nutrients and everything like that, and it grows up, right? We have that, right? A like analogy that Jesus could have used would have been conception of a child, right? And we know that in conception of a child, you have 2 issues if there's barrenness. 2 possible issues, right? Either the seed or the sperm or the egg, right? One or the other is the issue. So when we look at the Lord and what he sows, we have to ask, is God always fruitful? Yes or no? Yes. Well, he's always fruitful, right? It's impossible that God's word might be sterile somehow. Okay? So on the receiving side, us, well, maybe the issue's with us, but Jesus has just shown us something. Right? He's explained what happens, what could be an obstacle on our side in 3 different ways, right? But at the same time, what he does is this. Number 1, he tells us that he is the vine, we are the branches, and his Father is the gardener, which is good news, because if there's an issue with our soil not being fertile soil, it's God who's the gardener. He's going to take care of it. How? When the enemy steals the word, God reminds us. You ever notice sometimes when God is trying to talk to you, he's consistent, and he's like, hello, 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 hello. Do you ever notice this? If you haven't, begin to pay attention, and you'll notice God will sometimes be like, I don't know if any of you know the Family Guy, that little kid. Mom, Mommy, Mama. Stewie from, never mind. Okay, it's from a cartoon. Anyway, so it's like a child constantly bugging the parent, right? God is like that a little bit. He will continue to remind us, and God gives us many reminders. That's why God is generous with what he sows. Okay? He gives it again and again and again and again and again. Likewise, he can change rocks into fertile soil, because he's God. He can break up rocks. Likewise, his perfect love casts out all fear, and therefore, worldly anxieties can be flushed out by God's love. Good news. We're receiving Jesus today, right? In the Eucharist, right? Not a different Jesus than the one who would walk around and healing people and sometimes, changing things that were inoperable to things that were operable, like eyes or ears, right? Is it that Jesus or is it a different Jesus? It's the same Jesus, right? So if there is a part of us that's either inattentive and needs to be healed and we need to pay attention, like if our radio frequency is off and we're not tuning into God, well, he can fix that. He can get us on the right frequency, because he's coming to us today in the Eucharist. If our hearts are stony and not able to receive the word, well, he can break up those stones and make it into fertile soil. And he can flush out all our fears and anxiety that would choke his word, because his perfect love is coming to us not in a measure, not in a small cup, but it's in its fullness in Jesus that we receive body, blood, soul, and divinity in the Eucharist. All we have to do is say, yes, Lord, I'm tired of your word not bearing fruit in me. Do what you will in me. Or as Mary would say, may it be done unto me according to your word.